Hello and welcome to another edition of USISPF Conversations. Bipul Sinha is an entrepreneur, engineer, and venture capitalist. He wears many hats. He is the chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Rubrik Inc., a venture partner at Lightspeed Ventures, a board member here at USISPF. Thank you again for making the time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
A pleasure is all mine, Bipul. India is a 75-year, 76-year political independence story, but really people forget it's only a 32, 33-year economic story since the reforms of 1991. But in the last decade, or decade as they say, there's a very impressive stat of the India's digital economy, and reports estimated to hit 1 trillion in value by 2030. That's currently one third of India's economy, and you're obviously a major part of that economy right now. So it's a good time to be sanguine about India's tech economy.
India, the biggest story of India is not just the growth rate and what the infrastructure and everything else that is externalized. The biggest transformation of India is the digital transformation of India that is happening across industries in the government to deliver digital products and services to end customers, to the population, to really create high economies of scale, to really bring population into the digital economy and really propel India to its manifest destiny.
Yeah, you mentioned about government policy that really pushed the needle. And of course, since a little over a decade ago in 2014, when Prime Minister Modi came to the forefront, there have been initiatives like Startup India, Digital India, programs that you're very familiar with and part of. And just paint a picture of India's unicorn market, because India has always been a entrepreneurial country, but it kind of moved from family business to now this hunger of the tech startup boom, like Silicon Valley coming home, Bangalore being India's startup capital. What's the outlook for India's unicorn market?
Outlook is very, very bright. If you think about large population that is using digital services on their mobile phone, large, very, very large internet user base in India has really created this environment where the digital products and digital services can really zoom and get to a scale really quickly. And that has really spurred the Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem. And entrepreneurs are now thinking about leveraging risk capital. There is a lot of venture capital available in India to really accelerate again their products and services and bring more digital integration across India. And if you not just the tier one and tier two cities, the opportunity for digital acceleration in India and digital transformation of India actually is one would call even bigger in the tier three, tier four cities, because everybody is consuming information. There is a leveling of playing field, and with AI and new technology coming into picture, it really transforms information into knowledge which can be consumed and delivered to the end user across all of India.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about technology, the pervasive effects about it. Because one such aspect that's really captured by the world by storm is UPI payments. Because this was a country that was predominantly still a cash based economy. There's still a large informal economy, which is not really counted in GDP. But it's not just the digital thing that we're talking about tier three, tier four. It's who has these, right from people in the informal economy use these mobile payments from small vendors. So the pervasive effect of a billion plus people, I mean, that scale is remarkable. And that effect that you're saying about technology being pervasive has gone to edtech, in terms of education tech companies, medtech. We saw during COVID how the government had one platform for the billionaires or people who are destitute to. And I think that's phenomenal, just in the short span of time for a large population. And that's the remarkable India digital story, isn't it?
Prime Minister Modi's policies to digitize India rapidly has really created this unique opportunity for India to accelerate into the future rapidly. I mean, if one goes to India, this one sees digital payments, digital transactions everywhere. As you said, informal economy is integrating into formal economy through digital products and services, from payments to delivery of foods and things like that. So the setup is right, and the policies, that is growth based policies, uh, encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation, and Prime Minister Modi's own focus on digital talent development, from hackathons to everything else he talks about, has really created this unique environment where India could accelerate. I mean, it's already growing at 6-7% annually, in an environment where not many countries are growing at that pace, and the opportunity in front of India is tremendous because you have talent, you have know-how, and you have a large population that is digital hungry.
Yep, Bipul, you touched on two, three teams that are particularly talented. I want to take you down that and expand that a little further because speaking of countries, yes, India is growing at 6 and 7%. Very optimistic growth in a time of global geopolitical and economic despondencies. One of the countries that India is set to overtake and sometime will China, of course, which is the second largest economy in the world. And particularly because of India's young demographic dividend, people who are 35 and under the 18 to 35 range. Uh, the, and since you spoke about talent and prime minister youth fueling it, India's probably like a large tech incubator now with so many young people coming to forefront. Do you see a country where India went from agrarian to services, in the services space, digital and IT, which India has led from, that fueling India's economy now from a G5 economy to a G3, a G2, and perhaps, as our chairman John Chambers says, eventually a number one economy?
What is interesting is that India has this leapfrog moment where it could leapfrog the whole industrial economy and directly usher into a massive digital economy. And if you look at the setup for a digital economy, from again from talent to digital consumptions to the internet and mobile users across the country, it has a very unique combination. And India did several things right, from Aadhaar systems to centralized payment processing system. So the digital intensity of India is probably one of the highest anywhere in the world. So if you think about high digital intensity on a young and large population, it is a catalyst for growth. So I mean, the policies and the population's hunger for digitization and growth, I mean, the path is clear for India to be the number one digital economy within the next 7,500 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And the tech talent that you're part of and helping nurture is a very key part of that. People, in June, you had a very iconic historic state visit and you saw that up close. And in many years ago, we would not have thought about tech being such a central part about India US joint statements. But you just look at the joint statement coming out from Prime Minister Modi and President Biden, critical emerging technologies, quantum, semiconductors, space collaboration, as we've seen with NASA, ISRO, and ISRO's Chandrayaan success. That's, geopolitical context. Tech is sort of what's bridging economies closer as well.
See, the thing is that the large economy of India, particularly the digital economy, has to fueled by creating all sorts of digital infrastructure, and this is where the opportunity for American companies are. You have a large middle class, very large young population, digital hungry population, and a country growing 6-7% year over year. It creates tremendous opportunity for technology companies in America and other companies in America to go in, tap into this large market, tap into the talent pool, and really accelerate American economy in addition to really fueling Indian economy. So it is really a win-win combination. In some ways, American technology and Indian growth and population is a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that synergy, one such synergy that you've seen is the India US tech synergy, the Indian tech talent and the US tech economy in Silicon Valley, the ubiquity of the Indian tech CEO, people like yourselves and Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella have now become household names. But of course, there's been lacunas in terms of H1B processing, which is not just a hindrance for the Indian tech worker, but also slowing down the US tech economy because um, this is an innovation economy, particularly California, where you're seated in. How do we not miss the forest for the trees? Because in a visa backlog and immigration backlog, in order for the US to stay competitive, it needs this kind of tech talent coming in and for Silicon Valley to grow, not just worker bees, but people to go on and start new companies because they're not people taking jobs, but the people who are adding to the economy. So where would you give advice to policymakers on this particular gap?
There is a high degree of awareness of technical talent mobility and visa issues. But being a democratic country, it works on a consensus, and creating consensus that sometimes takes a little bit of time. As you know, in India is the same situation where creating consensus takes time. But there is a high degree of awareness, there is a high degree of motivation. There has been some movement lately around some visa rules, and I'm hopeful that both Democrats and Republicans will come together, because again, legal immigration focused on technology and bringing top talent from all over the world into America to really create the economy that we want for the future. And India is the most important piece of that puzzle, because of the technical talent, ability of Indians to come to America and start companies and contribute to the US economy is a tremendous opportunity. There is a high degree of awareness, and we are all pushing to see those awareness and intent become action.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the country which sees that sometimes stealing American talent, not China, it's Canada. Where a lot of people who are not able to get the H-1B or the green card go to Canada, and so it behooves both the U.S. and India, especially the United States with the H-1Bs. Um, Another C that's on everyone's mind is cyber. The importance of cyber, and just seeing the evolution from where it's come from Trojans and Stuxnet. It's no longer lone wolves sitting in basements sending you an email. It's become part of some state actors, non-state actors, rogue actors. How do you see the next g- cyber in the geopolitical context? Because the next big cyber attack hasn't been invented yet, and that's a concern because prevention is better than cure. So how do you help stay ahead of the game?
See the most important thing that can derail the digital economy is cyber. And if you just look at India, our own Zero Lab research report found that 51% of businesses reported loss of customers and business as a result of cyber attack. In fact, 86% of respondents said that they paid ransom to get rid of the ransomware and operate the business. There is a 96% of the IT leader population reports a high level of anxiety and issues around cyber attacks. So it is a real and difficult situation. I think we have to reframe this cyber discussion. For so long, cyber has been about preventing attack and stopping attack, and we all know stop cannot attacks cannot be stopped. We cannot try to prevent the unpreventable. We have to get into a mode where resilience is important, and resilience is a concept that is very familiar to India. Indian economy is a resilient economy. Indian population is a resilient population with so many years of so many people coming from outside and
Yeah.
creating trouble. India persisted and continued. So the resilience piece is the critical piece, that how do you create a resilient digital infrastructure to secure the India's digital future. And this is where Rubrik is helping businesses become more resilient. And how do you continue to operate the business even in presence of cyber attacks and cyber breaches? And that's the key to the future. That how do you create anti-fragile, resilient economy that can sustain cyber attacks?
Yeah, absolutely. Resilience is India's DNA. It's in the people ethos. And cyber is something that is both private sector and public sector because data loss, data breach, data hacks, have tremendous consequences, especially also at a federal level. So, in your conversation with policymakers in India or private sector leaders in India, what do you discern right now? What do you think is a prognosis for a stronger cyber economy?
See, India has this again a high degree of awareness about these issues, and I have had a number of meetings with the government officials, from ministers all the way to bureaucrats, and they all understand that digital trust is important. If people don't have trust in digital transactions, the Indian economy will have significant issues, because people will not transact digitally, and then it will impact the overall economy. So everybody understands that digital trust is critical, and ability to protect the digital infrastructure, ability to protect data, ability to protect consumer against these cyber actors, whether it's nation state or criminal gangs around the world. It is very, very important to protect the Indian population against cyber attacks, give them a clean, secure digital experience, because that's critical. And again, uh, digital like cyber is a cost of doing digital business, so you cannot avoid it. But as long as you can keep the cost of doing digital business in terms of cyber very, very low, the economy continue to prosper and grow.
Yeah. And Bipul, is it fair to say, based on this conversation and looking at Rubrik's work in cyber resiliency, it's CDC, Cyber Data Cloud. That's the other CDC that's important. On a final note, you touched upon cyber resiliency and data loss and the threat of it. What would be your, if there's one thing that people could take away from this conversation on cyber, on data, what would be the one unsolicited advice that you could give corporates and governments alike?
To secure India's digital future, India's digital economy, you need to create resiliency. Resiliency is the strategic cyber initiative that India needs to have to be able to thrive in this opportunity that is in front of us for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Because the future is India's own hands, because every opportunity is aligned for India. The digital opportunity, the young population, there's a large middle and growing middle class. India has the world in its own hands.
Well, absolutely, Bipul. Thank you so much for that conversation and look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you so much again for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.